on there for what? All right. We'll just wait for some people to come online here. Great. Good to see you. Welcome. I see Julie. I see Nisha. I see Brenda and Beth. All right. Hi, Jillian. Good to see you.
Yeah, I do have to go. I forgot. I just go.
All right. Nice to see you. Feel free to come on camera if you like and give us a wave. It's optional, but it's kind of fun. Worms of Space. Great. Hi, Nisha. And Esteban was there as well, I think. Good. Say hi. Hi, Christine. Okay. We're just going to wait for a few more people to arrive because we had a long list, actually. We usually have about a third that actually show up for this, and then the recording will be sent out afterwards as well. So if you can't stay for the whole time, feel free to drop off and we'll send you the recording as well. Okay. Just as you're coming online, just drop in the chat, where are you zooming in from today? Great. Welcome. Hi, David. Saw you join. Hola. Okay. And there's one of two things happening where you are. There's either snow or not snow. In the northern hemisphere, that's kind of where we are in the year, right? Okay. Great. I'm also in a not snow place. I just live in a snow place. All right. Well, why don't we get ourselves going? My name is Ashley Abbott. I'm joined here with Katie Coleman and Richa Malhotra as well. Katie is going to be helping us along the way, and Richa is a past participant of her program and is here to share some of her experience with us. So we hope you'll be excited to hear from her. This is, of course, the informational webinar about the team coaching program from ACT Leadership and Brown University School of Professional Studies. We hope to give you a lot of information today about the makeup of the program, what it takes to apply, why we created it, and all the details in order to register. Okay. All right. So do you want to say just a quick hello each, Katie and Richa, so you feel like you're here?
Yeah, my name's Katie Coleman. I work for ACT as well, and I'm going to be here helping out while Ashley's presenting. So I'll be here to answer your questions if you want to put them in the chat. I'm in Boise, Idaho, and I am in a snow place.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. I'm Richa Malhotra. I'm calling in from New York. It's not that cold today, so I'm thrilled about that. I'm an alum of the team coaching program at ACT, and I'm here to support, answer anything that you might be curious about once Ashley shares a lot of the overview of the program. So excited to be here.
Great. Thank you. We're really glad you made the time to join us. So as we get started, we'd like you all maybe to type into the chat box what brought you here today. What might you want from this webinar? What has you thinking about becoming a team coach? And just as you type that in and watch the answers coming in, I'll say a little bit about the partnership between Brown University School of Professional Studies and ACT Leadership. We've been in partnership since we started doing some work with their executive master's programs. And then we expanded into our own programs to deliver individual one-on-one coach training, leader as coach training, meaning that for leaders that want to extend their leadership range but not have to become a coach, we have a distilled program just for leaders. And also an advanced coaching program, and now our team coaching program. So I'll read a quote from the Dean of the School of Professional Studies, Shankar Prasad. We chose to partner with ACT Leadership because we share a common mission to develop effective, reflective, and inclusive leaders to effect positive change in the world and to improve human welfare. And I like to read that because I don't like to mince his words because I think he says it so well. We have a very human-focused and also results-focused approach to all of our work at ACT. And so that's what we hope that you will experience in our programs, that we have the theoretical, but also the practical. Okay. Katie, anything coming up in the chat box that you think needs to be touched on in the moment?
No, I think mostly just people sharing what they're here for.
Great.
So let's get started.
Okay. Glad to hear it. So we're going to proceed like this. I'll talk a little bit about the program, kind of why we put it together. Then we'll show you a very short presentation about some of the logistics of the makeup of the programs. That should answer a lot of your questions. Then we'll invite Richa to speak for a little bit. We might even give you a chance to ask her a question or two. And then Katie's going to guide us through the website where you apply, so you know where all the information is and what the dates are, et cetera, all the logistics. And then we'll close with some Q&A. We might also answer a few questions along the way if Katie sees something that is best answered in the moment. All right. So why did we create this program? We're doing a lot of individual coaching and leader as coach work in organizations. So in the Department of Defense, National Security Administration, in other non-government organizations. And after people were graduating from our program, they had this desire to take it into their work, but with greater leverage, to take it into their organizations. They said, this is great one-on-one. How could I make this work for our whole team? Because I can't give everybody a one-on-one coach. And just because everyone might have a one-on-one coach doesn't mean that the team is getting the attention that it needed. So that was how the team coaching program was born. So we have the same sort of theoretical base and approach as our one-on-one coaching, but we've extended and expanded it to address the specific and unique dynamics of teams. Right. We're also one of the first organizations to have an ICF accredited team coaching program. So you will hear a little bit more about how our program fulfills the educational requirements for the application for you. And so it was great that we delivered a number of groups before that, and then we had to catch some of them up to the new requirements. So we actually created a program to help our people who are recent graduates actually fulfill the requirements, so that everybody's got sort of the same foundation of training. And we're always adding to our programs. So you'll find that we take our feedback seriously and we make adjustments along the way. So that's how we ended up with the program. I'll talk a little bit now about what it's like to be in the program. We have a small group, typically about 24 participants and 2 leaders. We have 2 people lead almost all of our programs because we feel co-leadership or co-training gives people a much richer experience, right? And people start to see some differing opinions that might be complementary but not identical in terms of the theory and the application of our work. And you get twice the experience of the people in the room as well. So you're not a sort of a faceless or tile on a video screen. You're one of 24 people. So that means that you get to meet other people in the cohort as well. So it's a little bit of a networking experience. People form some new relationships and new collegial relationships in our programs, which we love. It really enriches our alumni programs. And some people have gone on to continue to be co-coaches and form practices and do work together after our programs, which we find really gratifying as well. We tend to talk a little bit like this, but not for as long as this webinar. So we do talk, we have you talk to each other, we break you out, we bring you back, we debrief that, we do role plays. So it's a very dynamic experience, even when it's online. So, the only time you really see slides, more than 2 or 3 slides, is in this webinar. Everything else is delivered either synchronously, live, on Zoom like this, and we do expect your full participation and availability. You can't just watch it later. And we have asynchronous training as well. So a video series, some reading to do, and so you have both an offline and an online experience of the program. And that actually is the expectation of the International Coaching Federation, that there's a minimum amount of live synchronous training that is delivered in a team coaching program that is accredited. Okay. We also walk you through an engagement model that we like to call easier, that makes team coaching, we hope, easier. So it's structured enough to give you sort of a flow of how an engagement can run, but flexible and adaptable enough that it's not forcing a square peg into a round hole when you meet your clients and you've got a special situation. We have an adaptable framework so that you can choose what is most relevant and most effective for your organization in that framework, but still be on a pathway so that you feel like you have a sort of a full end-to-end offering that you can offer your clients. So I'll pause there. Katie, anything coming up in the chat that we should talk about now?
Not
Okay.
so far.
Well, maybe because I've made lots of promises and people are still waiting for delivery. So let's get to the keynote deck, and what we'll talk about is the pieces of the program. So let me share that. Here we go. And Katie, does it look like you can see everything? Brilliant. Okay. I will say we went a little bit bananas with the transitions in this. If anything, it'll keep you awake. So this is an accredited program, Advanced Accreditation in Team Coaching, AATC. That's the acronym that talks about the program. If you take our program and do the other obligations, you can get your ACTC, which is the credential, which is for practitioners. Okay, so there's lots of letters, but we can help you through all those letters if you like. So you can use this program as education and supervision requirements for your ACTC application to get your credential in team coaching, or you can use them as continuing education units for a credential renewal that you may already have for ACC, PCC, or MCC. Those are the individual coaching levels with the International Coaching Federation. Because not everybody wants to go for the team coaching credential. Okay, so we like to let people know that these are valid hours because they honor the ICF competencies. So the team coaching program occurs over about roughly 3 months, maybe 3.5. We might be pushing 4. If we get there, we'll update the slide. 60% of it is synchronous learning, meaning it's live like this, whether it be in person or a virtual offering. And we're accredited for 70 hours of training. I think the minimum is 65, so you get just a little bit more training hours than is the minimum expected by the International Coaching Federation. It's structured into 2 live modules, which are about 3 days each. They start at 8:30 Eastern time and ended at 4:30 Eastern time. The 3rd day in each module tends to end at about 4 o'clock, a little bit earlier, because often if it's in person, we need people to get to airports. They're all led by 2 Brown Act trainers. And we have 2 versions of the offering. There's fully virtual, which means these 2 modules and your supervisions and everything are done on Zoom like this, or hybrid, where module 1 is in person and on the Brown School of Professional Studies campus in a brand new building in downtown Providence, Rhode Island, about an hour's drive south of Boston, depending on the time of day. It's a lovely place. Maybe Richard will tell you about that as well. It's one of my favorite business destinations when I've got to get on a plane and go somewhere. So we do module 1 in person and we do module 2 virtually there. So this diagram, it doesn't look like it, but it is your friend. This is sort of an overview of the whole program in sort of 5 streams, just so you can sort of piece all the pieces together. What we've already talked about is the live modules in yellow at the top. And Katie, can you see my cursor moving? Yes, okay. So we've just talked about module 1 and module 2, okay? We'll say in a moment, just a little bit does happen before you get to module 1, just to warm you up and greet you at the program beginning. The second stream are supervision. So this is not you sending in any recordings of your team coaching for evaluation. Some people have that impression. This is a reflective practice and dialogue in a smaller group of up to 10 participants with a team coach to help you reflect more on yourself being and becoming a team coaching practitioner and what edges you might be hitting as you step into this role. Because team coaching is honestly a bit more demanding in most cases than one-on-one coaching, because you don't just have one person in front of you as a client. You have a team of people who's your client. There's a lot of dynamics at play. And so we give you that space to take you through some structured reflection throughout our program. And that meets the supervision requirements. It actually exceeds the supervision requirements of the International Coaching Federation for your ACTC application. The third piece is a unique part of our program, the field application session. We'd like to call it the FAS. We have some milestones to sort of guide you through the process of doing a trial team coaching event or intervention with a real team, a practice team, out in the field. So you are partnered with one other participant in our program and given the task of finding a team, working with them for at least 90 minutes in the first session, doing a debrief with the team leader, doing a debrief with each other, and also another pair in the program before coming back to share that experience in Module 2. And then after Module 2, we want you to go back for one last, at least half an hour to do a check-in with your practice team to say, what have they made use of? What was the impact of your first visit? Okay, so we like to say low stakes, high learning, right? So this can be any sort of interdependent group of people. It could be a family planning a vacation, could be a charitable organization. It could be a team that already exists somewhere that is willing to spend a little bit of time with you. The orange stream here are office hours, 1 hour each. These are optional, but they're just there really to give you an opportunity to pick the brain of faculty to ask questions about what it's like preparing for your field application session, or if you have questions about the material or specific circumstances. I have to credit Richa, I think, with actually suggesting this part of our program, and we do take our feedback seriously, and here it is. So we added this as an extra support to people along the way in the program. And finally, self-paced learning. So this is the asynchronous part. It's not very onerous, but we do ask you to fill out a document, a template document with some reflections, with some application considerations after having watched our case study video series. Write a paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs about what you're learning, and submit that just as evidence that you've actually worked your way through the self-paced learning material. We also ask you to read a book. We have a selection of 3 books, and we'd like you to read at least one of them and write 1 paragraph about some application you learned from that, because we'd like you to sort of enrich your learning with some external material as well, because really this is just the beginning of your team coaching training. It does say that it's an advanced credential compared to one-on-one coaching, but it's an introductory team coaching program. And we believe that there's much more to learn even after our program. And the International Coaching Federation does have an expectation of ongoing learning as long as you hold our credential. So they expect some sort of evidence that you've done that learning. We do a quick sort of a check on it at the end of the program. And then you attend our completion call, which is a 1 hour sort of land the learning. Last time you see all of your people in your cohort. And once you've attended that and made sure you've completed your field application sessions, we grant you the credential. Okay. I'm going to pass on now to the a little bit of what you get. Module 1 focuses mostly on the foundations, some definitions of teams and teams coaching. We introduce our easier pathway. We introduce to you a whole bunch of skills and some practitioner mindsets, and how to get started with the team's leader, because there's a special relationship typically you form between the coach and the team's leader who is inviting in the coaching. We will be working with some role plays in this module. It helps you exercise sort of sensing the collective energy and of the team. We have some discussion topics we like our participants to discuss, and we have a Q&A session at the end of each module. Okay. Between modules 1 and 2, the time commitment is going to be consumed by some supervision, the optional office hours, preparing for and delivering your field application session, and some of your self-paced learning. Okay, so we're guessing maybe about 20 additional hours before you come back to module 2. Module 2, here's a little bit more information about the field application session, just because the bulk of it happens between modules 1 and modules 2. So after you've met your partner, we do ask you to come with to the program with a candidate team, if possible, so that you've got maybe a choice of 2 teams to work with between yours and your partners. We want you to conduct at least a 90-minute session before you come back from module 2, with a 30-minute follow-up session with the same team after you've completed module 2. We do give you some milestone dates. They're just suggestions. We know that it's tough to schedule, right? So we do show a little bit of flexibility in how all that unfolds. But we give you some milestone dates that you're aware of right from day 1 of the program, so you kind of know what time arc you're planning for, so you can set the expectations of your client team. We'll have you debrief that with the team leader, with your co-coach, with another pair of co-coaches, and then in the module 2 when you come back for that. And then module 2, another participant guide. Oh, supervision. I keep surprising myself with my slides. So supervision does begin between modules 1 and module 2. It continues after module 2 as well. This is up to 10 people, 3 sessions spread across the program. And you've got a choice of time slots. It's either a morning or an afternoon a time slot, depending on our time zone. So we typically operate in Eastern Standard Time, but we do have participants in Pacific Time. And our supervisors actually are both in Europe. And so they're doing this later in their day. So we do sort of span the globe in our faculty and have participants join us, sometimes from Asia, and they stay up very late. So we conduct these on Zoom. The first one is 90 minutes. The next ones are 2 hours long. So that adds up to 5.5 hours. So it's just over, it's beyond the minimum that you need for your application if you go for your ACTC application. Do I dare say module 2? There it is. So another participant guide, it's about 75 to 100 pages long. So both of these guides have everything you need in there. All that we teach is in these guides, so that they can act as references after you leave the program as well. So we go a little bit more deeply into the theory of team coaching. So we talk about team coaching conditions, which is some evidence-based theory that we like to rely on, and also reactive and creative stages of adult development. So we blend those into our sort of our theory base for the program. We do pay some specific attention to matters of inclusion in our courses. So we like to say that we talk about inclusion and equity all along the way, but we give it a bit of a special focus on module 2 as well, just because we find people are coming from all different points of view and all different levels of experience. And so it deserves a little bit of conversation. Sometimes that can spill over into the supervision program as well. We give you some additional skills. We give you a way to think about expanding your range and your presence to meet the dynamics that come up in the in team coaching in your team. And we work our way through a fictitious but realish case study based on a real example, actually, just so you sort of role play what it's like working with a team leader throughout the course of team coaching engagement. We have some quick discussions of some real engagements that our faculty have done, so that you can see how we've adapted easier to practically in each of those situations. So you can see some real world examples of how we use our material. We like to say we eat our own dog food. So, you know, we practice what we preach. And we also then provide some more practice at on our final day, just so you can get some observations from another credentialed observer in the program, which is another requirement by the ICF. So you get some feedback on sort of a sheet about some skills you've used, some mindsets you've used, some concepts that we have taught in the program, and a few sort of comments so that you could walk away with a little bit of feedback from your peers or the trainers in the program. After Module 2, there's about 10 more hours of work. So another supervision session, your field application follow-up session, that 30-minute or more session, the second time you see your practice team, and finishing your self-paced learning guide. And that gets submitted hopefully before your completion call. So self-paced learning is made up of some reading. We have a video series. We'd like you to read a book as well. And just talk about how you might want to adapt easier for use in the environment that you're facing. So we're training our practitioners to be sort of adaptable, creative practitioners. So we don't provide a lot of templates, prescriptive templates, because we find they don't always translate well to the situations that the range of people who come to our programs face. But we do want to give you the elements of what you want to put together so that you feel competent or confident about what you want to put together for an engagement that you're taking on. So once you get all that done, you attend our 1-hour completion call, and we provide you with a certificate from Brown University's School of Professional Studies, from Abbott Leadership, which has the ICF AATC stamp on it, so you know that it is approved education that you can use for your application for the ACTC. Okay. On that, and if you're going to apply for your advanced credential and team coaching, that other credential, one thing you need to know is that you do need to hold an existing credential from the ICF already, either an ACC, PCC, or MCC. Most of our participants do already hold that credential, but you do not need to have it before you start our team coaching program. As long as you get your ACC before you apply for your team coaching credential, that's all right. We do, though, expect you to be a trained coach. Does not necessarily have to be an ICF accredited program. We do prefer that, but if you come from an EMCC program or another program that we've had some experience or knowledge of, that can count. The reason why is we sort of use the one-on-one coaching as a base, so you understand the skills, the mindsets, and the competencies that are expected of a one-on-one coach, because the ICF themselves have built their team coaching competencies on the foundation of the individual coaching competencies. Now, that said, if you did not come from ACT's Leadership and Performance Coaching Certification, our one-on-one coaching program, that's okay. We do have a couple hours of bridging content that you can use to do before you start day 1 of Module 1, so you feel well-oriented to our program. Okay, so we don't want people starting confused. We want people to feel like that they're in a good spot to start. So if you do want to start apply for the ACTC, you get the education from us, you get the supervision from us, but then there's 2 more E's. There's, we say, education, experience, exam. So we provide the education. You need 5 engagements that 2 of which are documented, and the requirements for that are specified by the ICF, not by us. So the information of that exists in their site. And then you need to apply to write the exam. And after you've done those 3 things, and it's been approved by the ICF, they will grant you the ACTC credential. Okay, so we provide the education, they provide the credential, and that's what happens after this. Okay, and we have an alumni program as well that includes our one-on-one coaches. And so, and every 2 years we get together in Providence, Rhode Island, the same place where we do our in-person programs, to gather for a conference. And so we do have that planned for the end of this year as well. And it's on the odd years, essentially. No, it's the even years, no, next year. Next year. Yes. So you're on mute, Katie, but I see your body language. Right.
Odd years, yes.
Odd years. Yes, it's 2025. Okay. So how do you get there? So applying for the team coaching program on our website, Katie is going to show it a bit later. There is an application form. It's pretty short, but we do ask for a paragraph to describe why you would like to be team coaching practitioner, why would you like to join this program. We give it a brief review and make sure that you've got sort of the prerequisites that we need for you to apply, and then we welcome you into the program. Once you're accepted, then you can get a start on the bridging content if it applies to you. It's a good review as well if you just want to sort of review the one-on-one coaching competencies and concepts. We have an orientation call where you can meet the other people in your program, and we just introduce you to one or two of our faculty so that you get to know us a little bit and ask any questions about getting started to the program. And there's one or two short introduction videos that we refer to in the first morning of the program when you get there. So that's what happens after you join the program. We also have a program manager, Nicole, who helps us along the way. We do have a learning platform called Mighty Networks that you're welcomed into so that you can find all of your program materials and you know what sequence they happen in, and you have her email address. So if ever you need some help along the way, she's available to answer questions for you. Okay, that was a lot of talking, probably more talking you're ever going to hear all at once from one of our trainers in any of our programs. Hi, Judy. Good to see you. I'd like to turn it over before we answer questions to Richa, just to share a little bit about what she'd like you to know about her experience. I might ask a question or two at the end of that, and then we'll head into the logistics. So over to you, Richa.
Thank you, Ashley. That was fun to listen to, even though I've already been done with the program. So hi, everyone. I was in your shoes in March of 2023, also considering different programs, trying to make a decision. So if I can support or provide any information, as you've heard Ashley talk, please use me and the time we have together. Just a quick background on me. So I work as an executive coach. I work with individuals. I work with teams. I got my coaching education from NYU, the executive coaching education. I also have an MBA from University of Texas in Austin. I worked at Dell and Citibank in product marketing for about 18 years before I started coaching. And once I got into coaching and I started working with leaders, I really wanted to have more impact, because one-on-one coaching 1 hour at a time takes a long time to just feel like you had huge impact. So I thought expanding into team coaching would be a great idea. So that's where I was March of last year, and ACT/Brown came on my radar, and I looked into the program. And one of these webinars I attended, then I spoke to Ashley as well as Erin, who's another trainer offline. And there were so many pieces to making this decision. But I think for me, besides the caliber that these trainers embody and the responsiveness of the ACT staff, and of course the Brown name, it was really the hybrid format, because we were just coming out of the pandemic. And I think I was craving some in-person connection, and all my career had been going into the office in person. So it didn't make sense to do an online program. And I was so grateful that ACT was offering a hybrid program. And the first module that Ashley referenced, the 3 days, they were incredible. And I can talk about any of that if it's helpful. But we had a group of 12 people. It was restarting after the pandemic, so probably a smaller than usual group, but amazing group of people, very diverse backgrounds. Somebody's from the Navy, he was a therapist there. Somebody from Brown Medical Emergency, NIH, health policy, government, advertising. I was from marketing and some others. So very diverse background. And then the ACT trainers, they impart the education, they've done team coaching, but I want to say, like, if this is an understatement, they embody this. It's in their system. So it's just such joy to learn from the faculty. So we learned from Erin, Mike, and of course, Ashley here, and supervision by Tina. And everybody really just embodies this information. And they're supportive and they're passionate and they're really excited about the work they do and about getting us into that same space. So it's a really very enriching environment, but also a very fun space because the leadership or the teachers set the tone for the education you receive. And the space they created for us and our cohort really allowed us to bond as individuals beyond just participants of a program and really get to know each other. A lot of thoughtfulness each day. Many times after the breaks, we would start with some check-in exercise, a brief meditation, just to get that anxious energy down. You're in a new space, you don't know people, you don't know what you're going to learn. So they really sense into the humanity of our learning experience. And I really want to acknowledge that. And actually, I haven't said this to you, but thank you for all those moments that you created for us. And so much desire to keep on getting better. I've given feedback. I know other people have given feedback, and things get clarified and incorporated along the way. So it's a very evolving, iterative program with new information coming in. So it's very dynamic, which speaks for itself, or how much this organization is passionate about excellence itself. And then as she referenced the bridging content, I thought that was thoughtful and so helpful because all of us came from different backgrounds. I came from NYU, other people come from IPEC, so many other schools and organizations. And to get us all started on the same page and really start from the basics is such a good place to be because we're all at least trying to start at the same level, and then they'll fill in the gaps along the way. So those were some of the key things from the program itself. Then Providence is a great city, some really great eating places, and the campus, the Brown University campus where we had our sessions, everything was just excellent. The facilities and the views from that space, and just a place where we could get to know each other, do some practical work, do some listening and learning, a lot of space to experiment, learn, experiment again. So all that was incredible. And Ashley also referenced the field application project, the FAS project. That was such an amazing experience because we were learning and then we got to apply that real time. And I would say more questions come up than you ever think of because you're actually putting it into practice and you're like, I don't know. And then you have this cohort of people who are all in the same place and are figuring it out. So we have each other when we're debriefing, and then we had them to reach out to. So much growth happened in that one experience of putting into practice everything we had learned through the 2 modules. So that was also incredible. I'm sure there's so much more I can say, but I'll just take a quick pause to see how that's landing and what's coming up for you guys.
Ashley, you're muted. I'm not sure if you're talking.
Unmute. Are you speaking?
But God, finally, it happens to me. Richa, thank you. And I'm wondering if you could say a little bit about what made you choose the ACT program, and what maybe else you'd wanted to know before you had jumped in, so to get the most out of the program.
What made me choose ACT was I had heard one of the webinars. I had the opportunity to connect with you and Erin offline to just get comfortable with what it was about, because I was still not that deep into coaching. I was getting there, but I didn't know what team coaching would entail. I didn't know what a hybrid program would look like. And I didn't know what I needed to come in with and what to take away. So just knowing that I didn't have to know everything coming in and I could let things evolve, that was important. So I would say, as I'm hearing my own self speak, there was an element of trust that I was able to feel in my conversations with you and Erin, where I said, okay, so I don't know, but they're there and their support and we'll figure this out, because I was a little bit, I wouldn't say anxious, but anticipatory about like what's going to happen in this team coaching. Do I need to know how to facilitate? Do I need to know how to train? And I had done a little bit of different things, but I didn't know what level of expertise I needed to come in with and what would happen and unfold. So it was the fear of the unknown. And this actually the second part of your question, sorry.
What you, I think you said something about what you wished you had known before coming into the program.
You got to put this into practice to really learn it. You just you can take it on everything in, but you really have to keep doing these team coaching projects. You need to talk to leaders about the challenges they're facing. So you really need to jump into the pool to learn how to swim. The theory is great. You have to trust the support around you, but you got to do it to really become good at it.
Yeah. Thank you, Richa. You know, you've touched on a few things here. One is why we want people to do a field application session, because as you said, like almost more questions come out after doing it, but you're still in the program with the trainers and with your cohort. And so you can start to talk about that and ask about that. We do lots of role plays, and so we rotate people. We have a course producer that helps sort of rotate people through roles, observer that gives feedback, and role players, so that you don't feel like you're always stuck in the role player actor role. But we move that around so that you get some real experience in what's it like to work with a group of people that you might not feel like you've got a lot of control over, right? And finally, that, you know, do I need to facilitate, you know, how does it work in with groups? People don't really know until they try it. And we want to create a safe space in our cohort to try it with these short role plays, 15 minutes. Okay. So they're not, you know, you're not on for an hour, but just to get a sense of, oh, that's what it's like to have 5 or 6 people looking at you and you're not quite sure what to do. And we also advocate having a co-coach. In fact, if your team is large enough as a client, the ICF mandates that you must have a co-coach, because it just really sort of makes the whole experience a lot richer and a lot easier to do when you've got a co-pilot. So some of the things that you mentioned, Richa, that I think I heard.
Yeah, I want to add to that, Ashley, which is it's interesting to see that everyone's sort of in a similar space, and a group of people acting as a team who is being coached. You see different personalities emerge, which you would in a team as well. Some people are just quiet. Some people will speak up more. Some people will show up differently. So you see almost a sampling of that whole experience in that room when you're coaching your peers. And experiencing that over 15 minutes at a time, multiple times, gives a sense of comfort. Oh, I can handle this. I can handle this. I can handle this. And then when you go for FAS, you're like, oh, this happened in the room in Providence, and this is what we learned from it. So it all connects afterwards, eventually, if you trust the process.
Right. So a little bit theoretical and linear and a little bit organic is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Richa. So just because I'm looking at the clock and see that we've got a few questions coming up, I think we should move into the logistics pages on the website, and then we'll see if we've got time for some more questions. But thank you again, Richa, for sharing your experience with us. So Katie, if perhaps you could share the screen, we'll start just at the entry screen of the ACT website, and you'll see that under the For Individuals menu at the top left, you can navigate to the team coaching program. And that brings you sort of a main page that has a menu at the top. So this is easy to miss. So where it says overview, program dates, curriculum, faculty, and apply now, those things will actually lead to other pages. We won't go there now, but they will be important in a moment. So just don't miss those. Further down, you'll see a little bit about the program. You will see that there is a video. It's actually a portrait of Aaron Hutchins and I talking. So there's a video there that talks about the program a bit. And you can also get a past webinar sent to you if you fill in the form here. Okay. And just a little bit about the program. And there's that diagram again, if you want to just recap the structure of the program. The tuition and the duration is described lightly here, but there's also a more detailed page. So why don't we go to the top there and take a look? There are some testimonials at the bottom of this page as well. So we're going to go back up to that sort of slightly hidden menu, program dates and curriculum. So this gives you a little bit more about the curriculum, and it gives you the dates and times. We try to put here all of the times that you're expected to be on Zoom or in person for a hybrid. There are, optional pieces like office hours that aren't included here, but just so you can plan your calendar and travel if needed, these are the dates. So we've got the winter cohort starting at the end of January, and then we've got a spring one starting in April, I believe, just as the previous one is finishing. And then our hybrid offering in autumn starts in September. And so that's module 1 is in person at Brown University in the School of Professional Studies building, and module 2 is online on Zoom. Okay. There's a little bit at the bottom about some of the learning objectives for each module. So if you want to find out a little bit more about what's in each piece, there's a bullet list here for you. I think the next item is just a little bit about our faculty. So you'll see me in there. You'll see Nimrit Dhariwal. You'll see Nick Kettles and Tina DeMeus. So these are people that are trainers in the program and or supervisors as well. And of course, our founders, Mike and Aaron Hutchins. They're not as deeply involved in the faculty angle of the program. I mean, don't be surprised if you see them show up for a module. Don't be surprised if you see them show up in videos. But typically, Tina and Nimrit and I are the faculty for the modules and the supervisions. And if you want to apply, this is the page you go to. So you'll see that there is a button at the top to contact a program advisor if you've got some questions that we haven't answered. And then there's some scheduling of when the fees are due and some discount deadlines as well if you want to apply. And then there is a form. If you do click the apply now button, you're brought to a form like you saw in the presentation, and you fill in your particulars, and that starts the process. There is a modest application fee. I think it's $50 US, just so that we know that you're a real person that really intends to apply for the program, so that we can focus the attention of our program advisors. Okay. So I think we'll just pause there and see if we have some questions, because we've got about 12 minutes left. So feel free, if you've got a question, to just come off mute and ask it.
So we've got a question in the chat I don't want to miss here too, that says, how might I feel most confident about the financial investment I'd be making choosing Brown's ACTC program versus other programs that are half the cost? What does this program offer that other programs don't? How is the Brown program setting themselves apart? I'm paraphrasing there.
Sure, yeah. So I'll say a few things. I mean, I can't really talk about all the other programs out there because I haven't taken them or done them. I am familiar with the organizational relationship systems coaching program, which I've taken myself, and I've talked to other people who have graduated from other programs. I think we take both a theoretically underpinned but also a practical approach to our training, so that people get enough so they know that what they're learning is real and effective, but is also put in a framework so that they can apply it, right? Because you can't really be a team coach out there unless you actually know how to conduct an engagement. And so that's one approach that we take. We cannot fit everything into 2-3-day modules. So I think that we like to say that this is a really good launching pad for your training. You are a competent, trained, and accredited team coach if you do apply for the ICF credential. So it does put you at the front door of the credential process for the ICF. All you have to do is get your experience and write your exam. And so that's what we stand on in terms of the quality of our program. And our partnership with Brown University School of Professional Studies supports that. Some other programs may offer some sort of exercises or techniques, but without necessarily the framework to put it in terms of to move a team through an engagement. So you're going to find a variety out there, I think. And I think that really stands to reason, because team coaching is a new-ish kind of field. I mean, people have been doing team coaching for a long time, I think. But in terms of crystallizing the competencies that are expected, so that you can have some faith in a practitioner if they've actually become a credentialed practitioner, is I think important. And so I think that you're going to find a variety of definitions of even what a team is and what coaching a team is. And I think that that's starting to crystallize now, especially with the advent of the ICF credential. What else? I saw Judy had a hand up there.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. And thank you all for all of this. Very informative. Richa, I wanted to ask you, like, if you could describe the difference between your coach work before was one-on-one and your coach work now as a team coach. I'd love to hear, you know, how that's working for you.
So from hi Judy, from an experience perspective, impact, all of the above, could you share a little bit more about the question?
Yeah, I think all of the above. Like I'm trying to think, especially it sounds like you're out on your own as an executive coach. And so was there demand for it? And then you decided to go for the team coaching? Or I know I heard you say earlier on that, you know, you felt like you wanted to have more impact. I got that sense. Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm just
okay, so couple of things. When I was starting to work with the people one-on-one, I was enjoying the process, but I also, you know, it was an hour per person and you can have some level of impact. And I was wanting to have more, like I said. And when I started to get more into team coaching, and I'm still building that piece out, the difference is you get to work with the team leader, for example, one-on-one, and then you work with the team. And so much more comes out from that conversation, the experience, the insights, and you see a whole collective group of people shifting. So I'm thinking of a couple of engagements recently. One, the FAS project, where we worked with the senior leadership team. So there were a group of people reporting to a senior leader. And when we did the values exercise and really started to talk about their vision and their mission, you saw over the couple of sessions that they started to almost have a sense of belonging to each other, that they were part of a unit, not like I'm finance, I'm HR, I'm operations, I'm product. It was, we are a team and what are we looking for long-term? In another project, it was the team leader wanting a sense of ownership for the team to step up and take initiative. And we realized that the team leader was so controlling that the team couldn't step in. So it allows, what team coaching has allowed me to do is experience the joy of one-on-one coaching, even if it's in some limited capacity because you're talking to the team leader, but also see how you can really help a group of people. And that is really exciting for me because I feel like organizational cultures changes one step at a time, and then teams can create space for that. So I hope that answers your question, but let me know if there's
no, what I'm hearing from you is it's really an opportunity to open the space for trust and psychological safety in both those examples that you provided. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. David.
Hi, thanks for your time this morning. Very informative. I'm just wondering, are the competencies that are taught applicable to any team? I mean, I sense that probably that's the case, but I'm wondering, you know, are they applicable to groups of ICs and executive teams and boards?
Yes. Yeah, I think the short answer is yes. The slightly longer answer is you can look at the ICF team coaching competencies on the ICF website. And so I think that all the programs have to have the ICF competencies at heart, right? but it's the way we approach them. The like, how do you enact those competencies is, I think, the differentiating factors between programs. And so not all programs teach skills, for example. And we believe that we'd like to have a named and defined skill that you can pull out of your pocket and use in the dialogue, rather than sort of a technique that you apply to a team. And so, and a way of looking, a way of showing up, and a way of looking, and a way of listening to a team to help you interact with them. So that is general. There's nothing really specific about our what we teach that would say be appropriate only for executives, or only for early in career people, or only in a certain industry vertical. Did I answer your question there, David, or is it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that it's probably the, I need to actually get into the content and curriculum and understand how it applies to the kinds of team I'm working with.
Yeah,
but
and that might be the
nature. I was just gonna say, I will also dig into the ICF team competencies to better understand what those are.
Great. Yeah. I'm sorry, your audio is breaking up a bit, so I couldn't hear everything. But I mean, similar to when you're learning one-on-one coaching, there's some foundational concepts and competencies you use that are generally applicable. And then maybe there are some techniques or exercises that you might do that are more geared to a type of client, or a client facing a certain category of challenges. And so I think it's going to be similar for team coaching. There's very generally applicable competencies, and then you might want to come up with some sort of way of interacting with them that's based on the competencies and the interactions and the mindsets of a practitioner, but fine-tuned to the client team that you're engaged with. And I think that talks about the sort of the interplay between the structure of the pathway we present, and the flexibility it needs to have to meet the adaptability it needs to have to meet specific situations. We do have, great, thanks for the thumbs up, David. We do have about 2 more minutes, and then we'll have to say goodbye. Any other questions coming up? Christine.
Yeah, I had put it in the chat, and I think someone else was curious too. Does the tuition payment go to Brown University? Because I'm looking at it from the standpoint of tuition assistance from my company.
Oh, I see. The tuition payment is made to ACT, and then ACT and Brown University do have an arrangement, but you do get a certificate from Brown University School of Professional Studies. And so maybe you might want to be in touch with one of our program advisors about your situation, and that we might be able to help clarify that for you.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
I think, Christine, I think I put it in the chat too. If you email info@actleader.com, that sends you to our wonderful enrollment team, and they can answer all the specific questions about financing and walk you through any of the options that you're interested in. So feel free to just send them an email, and they're usually very quick to respond.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, you're welcome. I see Melissa has her hand up too.
Sure, thank you. So I was the other person who asked about tuition assistance, and the reason for that is the company that my organization will go through for tuition assistance came back to me and said, because it's ACT that's taking payment, and I'm just sharing this with you because maybe something can go on the website. I don't know if it's you or Brown. They don't recognize it as a higher education degree or certificate, even though it's through Brown School of Professional Studies, because you're facilitating it and you're collecting payment. They're not regarding it as that. When I can't, like, they need to listen to this and see how in depth it is. And there's this academic part, the theory part, the application part. They could not be more wrong. So I don't know if there's something that, I mean, I'm going to go back and take your advice, Katie, and go to the info@actleader.com. And pose the question. But if there's something that you could do to advocate, because they'll look at the website, right, to make a determination. And from their perspective, it looks like this is a private company with a Brown name tagged on it when, yeah. So if there's something that could be put on the website for future, just that it is truly a Brown University program as well as ACT. and you are
Yes,
getting something
yeah.
from Brown.
Is you get a certificate from Brown University
Yeah.
School of Professional Studies. So I'll Katie, perhaps you could also send me these two nice people's names and send a copy to Aaron, because I think that
Yeah.
might be something that we can talk about, and maybe there's a way we can find out like what would be the factor that would tip the balance for them.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be such a missed opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be, and it's a great price point actually compared to other things that are out there through universities like NYU. I did look at the one that Risha's in, and Rutgers University is even more expensive than the one at Brown. So I'm a little perplexed, but this is a great opportunity not to be missed if we can avoid that. Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Melissa. Well, we'll be in touch on that. And that does bring us to the top of the hour. So thank you very much for spending your time with us. We hope we answered at least 90% of your questions. Thank you to Richa for joining us to share your experience. It was really, really important, I think, for people to hear that. And also to Katie for guiding us technically.
Yeah, and if you do have further questions, I work on the program advising team. We're always happy to sit down with you, have a 30-minute session, answer more specific questions, especially around the financial needs that I was hearing in the conversation. So please feel free to email info@actleader.com for any further assistance.
Great meeting you all, and good luck as you go through the decision-making process. It's a great experience if you choose to join it.
Great to see
Thank
you all.
you. Nice seeing
Thank
you,
you.
Ashley,
Thank you.
Katie,
Bye-bye.
Richa. Thank
Bye,
you.
Judy.
Bye,
Good to
Brenda.
see you.